unfinished business in Tulsa, Oklahoma, where a new conservative movement is seeking to rewrite history. It's to change the culture of our children. We'll divide America today between traitors and patriots, between the godly and the godless.
It was Democrats that destroyed Black Wall Street. Democrats.
Tonight is the 100-year centennial, the 1921 race massacre in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Let us be reminded that it was on this street where terror reigned.
I want y'all to sail off into the sunset after tonight. Or he'll have another 4 years. One or the other. Before we get this set up, I want to let's give a big round of applause. We got the director and the producer with us. We got Brian Ford. So we're gonna have a little conversation, and I hope you'll join in the conversation. Come on up, guys. Have a seat. We our screen earlier. I mean, our projector. We had to arrange things a little differently tonight. Some of you who know also know that we usually have a screen up here, but we had a little problem. So we worked it out. Our team worked it out. I want to give a hand to our team. We have one of the partners who we have a good experience today tonight, and I really appreciate everybody coming out and making this work. Come on up, guys. What a film, man! What a film! Please have a seat, grab a microphone. I'm gonna just flip on the lights. Here, no, I want you to sit here. Why don't you sit there? I'm just kind of introduced to with you. Wow. Seeing it with everybody was fantastic because your reactions were amazing. I watched it once on my own, but watching it with you all was amazing. So thank you for coming out. It was just like a shared experience, and I'm really, really glad we got to do this together. And let me just ask you, Brian, just tell us about the conception of this and kind of what you're doing with part one, part two, where you're going with part three. You know, just give us the big overview. What were you trying to achieve? What are you trying to achieve? What are you hoping will come out of this? Give us a little bit of that backstory.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you, Pastor, for having us. It's an honor to be here. I want to thank all of you for coming out and staying and watching this film. Mark, I want to thank you. This guy stuck with me for many years during these labor love projects. So, and I want to thank my beautiful fiance in the front row here. And you know, I love Tulsa. I want to say that I love Tulsa. I think Tulsa embodies so many great things about America. Its diversity, its culture, its history, the combination of really important things that have happened here. You know, many great things, and often also a few things that, you know, we can certainly learn from, and maybe are not, you know, they're not our most proud things. But to your question, Reverend, I was fascinated at the allure to Donald Trump, that somebody who these people seemingly have very little in common with, but are seemingly unwavering in their support. And I wondered very simply who these people are. In Chicago, we don't get a whole lot of Trump supporters, especially in 2016 to 2020. Now, we may see it a little bit more in this last election for certain reasons, but when COVID hit, that's when I went home to Kansas. So if you haven't seen White Trump Part 1, you can see my journey to Kansas, to these small rural towns where I immediately found the Trump supporters. Probably the first, you know, group that his words resonated with so deeply, so wholly. When you talk about Mexican rapists and you talk about immigrants coming to steal your jobs, they felt that because they felt like that's the experience they were living. The jobs were gone, the factories their parents worked at were closed, and that's when this whole journey started. Sedan, Kansas, about 90 miles away from here, and when Trump came to Tulsa for the rally, we came here and started this journey.
Oh, fantastic. And Malachi, tell us a little bit about why you wanted to get behind this project, why you got behind it. Besides just, you know, you two are just an amazing duo.
Well, I don't think I had a choice. I have been dear friends with Brian for many years, and so my take on this is it actually started, we have other documentaries together. Our relationship started in 2008 when Wayne Tisdale was alive, and Brian was so adamant. And I'm Wayman Tisdale's assistant, and I get this person that says, "Hey, we want an interview. We want an interview." And he was ready to go. Brian is always ready to go. You guys see all those creepy places that you have to go into, and Brian wants to drag you into these creepy. As you see all those things happen, like there's people really out going to go film that.
As they're driving me around and I hop out of the car, I'm like, wait a minute, there's an abandoned school bus. I gotta get a shot of that. There's a train. You got a lot of trains in Tulsa. So there's a lot of running after trains.
It's tough, I mean, because the Wayne Tisdale comes and then we do Chicago and the Crossroads. And these kind of projects, one thing I wanted to let you guys know is these are not funded by nobody. This is funded by Brian.
Wow.
So.
Thank you.
It all, just a little bit of backstory you gotta know. Brian was raised in Wichita, played basketball, and so he had a really close connection to the African American experience because it was some of his best friends. And so, turned 2008, by the time we get together, I was with Wayman. That's how, of course, I did end up meeting Bishop Carlton Pearson through Wayman and working with Bishop. But Brian has self-funded all these films, and even this film. And it started in my backyard here in Tulsa. And he's coming down and he's getting out of Chicago COVID hitting. I mean, this is all real time. And out of our other projects in this 2020, and I'm thinking, okay, here's another, because our projects run for like 3 or 4 years. It's a lot of filming. But essentially, one of the things is that I know is that, you know, after being around people like Wayne Tisdale and Bishop Carlton Pearson, and then Brian comes into my life, all of our projects have been honestly deeply spiritual. And we have had a connection, and things have worked out. We've traveled the world together. Because we pay for these through this production company, we'll do productions for people and come back, and then Brian, we would have a project. And we probably have a project right now with everything that's going on. Essentially, getting behind this honestly is something that's a little bit more intrinsic. And so being behind Brian with these projects, you guys see it. If we don't have these stories, then we don't have anything. Stories is how we live, breathe, and how we operate. And it's through the stories that we have, even from the past. I often talk about the 2,500-year-old story that we go to these buildings that we call churches to talk about this guy named Yeshua. But yet, though, you can't tell me what happened 100 years ago at the Tulsa Race Massacre. So these stories are quintessential to our time that will permeate history. And so I really, deep down, have no choice. And so here we are at this moment in this juncture.
Well, no, it's right. Yeah, well said. And the storytelling is so important. Right now, we see storytellers. It's risky to tell this story at this point. And so I really appreciate you putting yourselves on the line to make sure this story is told and that these voices are heard. And so tell me, where are you going with part 3? I mean, what's the next step from here?
So we've seen small towns in decline in every state in this country. We've all been through the towns where the mom and pops closed down from the Dollar Generals or the Walmarts, kind of like those towns. We see how racial indignation towards President Obama really fostered, because after the economic recovery, which President Obama presided over 68 months of consecutive job growth in the United States, which, yeah, I mean, that's remarkable. A lot of that economic recovery didn't get to those small towns. So they needed somebody to play. And a lot of it was on the back of Barack Obama. Now, the third part, and something that we all can relate to, is the Christian church and how religion played into putting their support behind this candidate who doesn't seem very Christian to me. And it's the evangelical church, as we heard from Carlton Pearson. And what a brave man Carlton Pearson is and was. So episode 3 is the third pillar in this whole story, you know, and that's how religion has fostered a lot of this climate. So it's called Kingdom and Country, and it will be available in late spring. We're working on it right now. Now, earlier tonight, we did have a slide up that had a couple QR codes. So if they, at some point, they'll probably turn this back on. So if you would like to contribute $5, $10, $25 to this project, we would certainly appreciate it. Cash App and Venmo will be up there at Zelle. So totally no pressure. If you do, leave your email, and we will, make sure. Thank you, and it's much appreciated.
Let me just say that it's a great, easy way to take a little, like you said, $20, $25, just a little bit of money and help push it towards making sure these stories get told.
And we'd also like to do more screenings. We'd like to go across the country and do more screenings like that. So if anybody has an idea for a screening, and look, I'm talking Republicans, Democrats, because at the end of the day, this era, kind of like COVID, was a reset. I feel like we're about to go through a reset where we have to remember Donald Trump won't be president forever. This will end at some point. So we have to be ready to try to find the identity of America that we want to move forward to.
And another thing I would like to say too, with Brian talking about this next episode, and what you guys gotta know. And we experienced this where, as filmmakers and storytellers, also to get people to speak and to talk, we've had moments where I'll tell you one here happened in Tulsa. Uh, we are brothers, and so Ryan, we just go for it when we are in this mode. And essentially, Brian had a lady that was going to say, you know, hey, I want to ask you some questions. She was so eager. Brian was, you know, we're downtown Tulsa, he's calling me over, and I come up there with a camera, and then all of a sudden she changes her demeanor, she has questions, and she doesn't want to do it. So we strategically, literally found out real quick that when you do things like this, if you want to get people's real opinion, you might have to change a certain aspects of how you approach where you go. So if he would go to an evangelical event, or if he would go something hardcore, we'd make sure that he doesn't have any diversity or any color. Because if you do, it can change the optics, and then it can change the individual people from how they may approach or say certain things. And so that was especially.
So yeah, you know, in that next episode, we go kind of to the other side of the track, the other side of the track.
Rainbow.
Yeah. We go to Jackson Lawmire's church and Clay Clark too. You know these guys, but they started kind of a movement in Tulsa around pushback and support over President Trump, and so we're going to be developing that more. You just saw General Flynn and Roger Stone, and that was in Tulsa. Yeah, they were holding these rallies in Tulsa. We started here and it kind of went out across the country. And it's another fascinating story. And that also features an interview with Carl Sears, his final interview. So we're looking forward to putting that together.
Beautiful. Well, you know, I'm going to open it up in a second for questions. Is there anything else that you want to say before I do that? And anything you want to make sure that we just end? Isn't there another training here in Tulsa?
Yes, thank you for reminding me. The Saturday, November 22nd, we'll be screening at Circle Cinema Theater.
Yeah.
So tell your friends, let people know, get the word out. It's just because it's a great experience to watch it at home, but it's even a greater experience to watch it together. And then you'll be there for.
We'll be there.
Yeah.
We'll be there. Randy Trevor with the film is going to moderate a panel.
Time.
Yeah, so it's at 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock. So when we turn back the slide on, at the bottom is the website, whytrumpmovie.com. I think you can Google Why Trump documentary or whatever. You'll find the website and there's screenings. First of all, my email's on there if you want to get a hold of me. It's just showboardformedia@gmail.com. And there's a screening page where you can go there and get tickets, or go to Circle Cinema's website. So that's going to be Saturday, November 22nd. Come back, tell your friends. We'd love to have a full house.
Beautiful.
And in a way, it may not be considered bipartisan, but our approach at this is not necessarily coming from a really strong political angle. We both have done business and do business with lots of conservative, ultra conservative people, and then they know who we are. I mean, when Brian would go do these interviews, I mean, they loved him. Like, oh, you want to film me? I mean, from Roger Stone, and of course I didn't go there, I didn't want to. But they were still very open, and essentially the way we look at this is down here. And what Brian really wanted to do was, he did not take these people and just make them say whatever. He didn't even lead them with a question. He just asked them a question and they would speak. And people are speaking out really loud. And so I kind of want people to just hear what they have to say, and hear what people have to say. I mean, they might say something silly, but we went through that a lot. We just have to sit there and take it. But essentially, we appreciate you guys 100 for showing up, and expect to see you again.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, thank you. That's beautiful. So, I think Shannon was gonna, has a microphone. Before we actually take questions, I just want to say two things. One is, you know, right here, Wayman Tisdale and Carlton Pearson did a concert. One of Wayman's last concerts Some of you may have been there. It was amazing, but right in his space, Wayman, came in on crutches.
Yeah, was that on TNT?
It may
That
have
was at, no, that was at Friendship. That was
Yeah, no, I don't know if they record, how it was recorded, but
Okay.
it was a beautiful night, and Carlton sang, and, but anyway, both of those men were some of the most gracious people I know. And I just want to say this about All Soulsburg, because I know we have a number of guests. This, you saw probably as you came in, it said love beyond belief. We love people here regardless of what you believe. In this space, you have the right to be wrong. And it's okay. We may disagree, and I have the right to be wrong. You may disagree with me, you may disagree with these guys. So I just want to say have an open conversation. I don't want people to, I don't want somebody may say something that you find offensive or that you find wrong. I don't want to boo and shun people out of the room. That's not in the spirit of this place. We're probably not all going to agree. We're talking about big issues, politics, race, all kinds of things. So hopefully we don't hurt each other. We're certainly not going to hurt each other physically, but I just want to say, let's have some question and answer. I don't know where you stand politically. I don't know what you got activated by this film, but I hope we can keep it positive and keep it friendly and agree to disagree, because that's the spirit of this place. So thank you for just hearing that out. And if you could ask a question and not make a huge statement, we would appreciate it.
Okay. I have two things to say.
Is that on? Yeah, Ray, can we get this?
I can talk loud. I have two things to say. One question on part number 3. I wonder if you were going to be looking at the young men movement. That seems to be a big thing.
Podcasts.
And the second thing is a compliment. I can tell you how happy I was when you did the election for Barack Obama. It brought back real joy.
Thank you for the question. That is a great idea. Thank you for that idea. I have actually not heard it phrased like that, but we know that this election I call them the podcaster bros, people who listen to Joe Rogan, and then it's kind of skewed chauvinist and sexist and macho, it's kind of where the guys, thought was the place to be. And in addition to that, I feel like COVID disenchanted a lot of young men to thinking that the government is out to get them, everything's fake, that the misinformation just really began to spread. And let's be frank, the internet and social media, it's not always one party against the other, and sometimes it's just how the world is right now. We weren't planning on having, the entire world connected through this phone. You can say anything and you can type anything behind the keyboard, and then also you can mislead people with information that's not necessarily accurate or in a very narrow, what we call filter bubble, an echo chamber. We see Fox News hosts, in the evening. And to be honest, some MSNBC hosts.
Oh, yeah.
This is, my mom watches nothing but MSNBC. And, I like CNN.
And those brilliant young activists use the internet to mess up Trump's rep, right? So it gets used in all kinds of ways.
And let me just also say this: they're smart. These people aren't stupid. I don't say any of that to say that these people are not intelligent. They have an answer for everything. If you could spend the last 8 years sticking up for President Trump and finding something to rationalize everything he does, you're pretty clever.
Yes. I'm not from Oklahoma, but I've lived here a long time. And one of the things that when my children were in high school, I discovered that their history books did not have the Oklahoma race massacre in it. And I was so shocked that a state could just eliminate certain historical facts that happened here for some reason. And I just wondered if you all knew that, that's a, I mean, it is a fact. So I just would be interested in your response to.
Yeah, growing up, thank you for that question, great question. Growing up 2.5 hours from here, I never learned about it in history books. Reverend, you said when you first moved to Tulsa, you hadn't heard about it. Now, you grew up in this area. Can you tell us about your experience?
So I didn't really, I found out about it because Mr. Clark, it was a man that he was at least 103. And I was at Oral Roberts, and therefore I ended up interviewing him. And he really got into depth into the story. So I had kind of a interest in finding out more, but that was here when you were in college. I was in college, so. But what I did find, even at that moment, which was probably like 2004, is that's where it was like I was, Gary Gates, Mrs. Gates. I mean, so there's been some stories that as you go deeper, that there are some stories, but even in 2011, there was paperwork that was coming up missing. Like most people, like if you don't know what this current film with Sterling Hargrove with Lowdown, Roy was, I've seen him. He was like an angel in terms of really getting deep and really actually exposing some things. And literally in 2011, there was papers and things coming up missing within the city, almost like a conspiracy. So essentially, of course, I didn't learn about it, but to learn even further deeper into this thing is alive in the sense of trying to discover. And there are real people that don't want people to discover or even go dig. They don't want any of this to take place. They want people to essentially get over it.
Yeah, and I'll promote my thing. I'm going to be, this sermon on Sunday is going to be about the lowdown, my experience with Leroy, the real Leroy, and then I'm jump off that and do a little message based in the series on the lowdown with Sterling Hargrove. Get you guys looking forward to that.
Hello. There is a lot of use of the word race, racism, and I was wondering if we all know the roots of that racism is a modern construct, and we are all human as a race. There are no multiple races of people here. There's only one, the human race. I'm a person. I have no talent. I'm a person. Just like when, as a people, as all humans, are we going to drop this term race? We are people. It is colorism. It's prejudice based on the color of somebody's skin. It's not race.
Can I take the first crack at it? So that's a great point. And, as someone who's been racialized as white in this culture, I just want to say that the thing that gives me hope about what you're saying is race is a story. And that's what we've been talking about, is stories and your storytelling. And the good thing about a story is it has a beginning, and we know where it began, where race, the construct of race began. And so every story has a beginning and a middle and an end. And so we're somewhere in that middle, working our way toward the end of using that, but we're not at the end because it has real world implications to this day. The construct of race, my being racialized white, matters in terms of how the world reflects back to me and how I show up and how the impact of my voice. And so race still has, even though it's a construct, it still matters. It still makes a difference in our real lives. But you're absolutely right. You're ahead of the game because you're ready to be at the end of the story, and I am too, quite frankly. But I don't want us to pretend we're at the end, because that was a little bit what they were talking about with Obama, post-racial all of a sudden, and let's just pretend like, it doesn't matter anymore. And it does matter, unfortunately. race still plays a big role. So anyway, I think I applaud you. And absolutely, we're all human beings. You look at DNA, and my DNA and your DNA may be closer to mine and Brian's, and that's just science.
Almost identical. 99.9%, of human beings are the same. Our bodies predominantly work the same. It's just a little bit in our skin that's different. But I feel like this is something that's been weaponized for civilization.
Who benefits from believing in race?
Yeah, great question.
Well, in this country, in this country, so one of the gentlemen in the segment about Barack Obama, his name is Tom Morello, and he was wearing a white suit. He was the first advertising executive in Chicago, and he had a very poignant interview and spoke about the marketing campaign of America. If you go back and look at old commercials, whatever it is, Coca-Cola, tourism commercials, we've always whitewashed our culture. And the marketing strategy, in his words, was to promote Black inferiority and as well as white superiority in our marketing DNA and our plan. So, who benefits? Well, I think it's quite obvious if you look at the socioeconomics of this country. And you saw a scene, talking about race with Malachi in the film, where a gentleman was trying to convince you that Black people were the oppressors.
Right.
And this guy, the hell was cool. He did a good job.
Did a good job.
You get a lot of that, and people always say, sometimes ask me like, well, why didn't you push back? Like he said something that wasn't right, or he said something that wasn't like accurate. And the idea in this thing is to not try to debate with people. I want to come across, I hope I do, as somebody who is nonpartisan, objective, without an axe to grind in this project. So obviously in this episode, the first episode, people thought maybe I was a Trump supporter. That's it. So I didn't want that. So I think it's a little bit more clear.
I think part of the great part about your question and this film is that who benefits? I'll tell you who doesn't benefit. Most African Americans and most of the people in this film who are supporting Trump. Poor white people and African Americans don't benefit. It's people with a lot of money that have continued to benefit from the time of slavery to this day by dividing and conquering dividing Black and white people. We got to stop buying into this and stop dividing ourselves, because they're the ones who take the money to the bank while we're all gathering each other.
And furthermore, who benefits? Go downtown. Who owns all those buildings down there? Who owns all the oil money? Who took the land from the Native Americans by suckering it away and tricking people and all that? We're living it.
And that's one thing for her, which you guys got to realize too. Like earlier I said it talked about a 2,500-year-old story, and that's really, I'm talking about the Christian story. And we celebrate and we go all over this is happening all over America specifically. I spent a lot of time, 15 years, with Bishop Carlton Pearson, and so therefore it's really deep in me. But you have to realize where we are. We want to be the future. But literally, it has only been roughly 60 years since I've been able to sit here.
Right.
I'm 49. So therefore, we have to realize where we are. And I think we're at a time where we can actually have a deeper conversation on who benefits from race. Why don't we all just say that we're one race? Like, we want to be in the future of what is not necessarily here. And now we are actually having the conversation. And basically, you guys are just talking about more documentaries, so enough questions with that.
I'm going to make this as brief as possible. It's now a two-part comment and question due to a previous statement. I was born and raised here in town. I did go to the school system here, public schools, and the statement that we didn't have any kind of information about the Tulsa Race Massacre is 100% correct. Now, in 1975, I was 15 years old. I was in ninth grade at Wilson Junior High. I had the benefit of having a history teacher. His name was Mr. Brown, and one day in February, he came into the room, locked the door, and he said, "Put your books down, what I'm going to teach you is not anywhere in your books." And he started explaining about the race massacre.
Wow.
He said, "Your task in this classroom for the next 30 days is to try and find as much information as you can about this massacre, this right, as they referred to it back then." And so what we did was we called everything we could find in every library in town. And we're talking about 25 kids. And in 30 days, we came up with about 18 pages. That's it.
Wow.
That's all we found. We went to the newspaper, we found microfilm, we looked at the documents that they had, and a lot of it, even though we found 18 pages, it was heavily redacted and changed to reflect that it was just a big fight. It wasn't a fight, it was a massacre. Okay, now that's my first part. My second part is actual question. In your third documentary, are you going to cover the headlong sprint into the arms of fascism that the American right wing voters behind? Because the media in this country is failing to call it what it is.
Exactly. Yeah.
You're absolutely correct. Thank you for sharing that important story. It is fascism. It's right-wing authoritarianism. And if we haven't learned anything from history, we know that all dictatorships start out with authoritarianism. And if we can't learn from our history, we're destined to make the same mistakes. And those who want to erase history are those most likely to repeat it. So I'll absolutely focus on fascism and the rise of America.
Thank you.
Any other questions? I think we're gonna maybe just one last question. And Eve, I don't know if you'll be able to put the slide back up that has the QR codes. So, yeah, well, as soon as we're done with that, you can put that slide back up, and we can pull this screen out a little bit. Thank you. One last question.
Hey there.
Julie?
So do you have any way to explain why women who accept Trump would never let their daughter or son come home with somebody who behaved that way? How can you explain to all the people you spoke to the cruelness and the meanness that he exhibits, and that they would not want anybody in their life to be like him and would not want him at their Thanksgiving table? Why do they adore him when he's such a troglodyte?
Yeah.
Amen.
Thank you for that. And I see a lot of white women in here who do not put up with that. You know, and the rap has been in the country, you know, all suburban white women are drug or that's where his base is. And there's a truth to that. But to your question, a lot of truth to that. But to your question, look up a term called cognitive dissonance. And or benign something if you're expecting a different answer. I believe they also call it the definition of insanity.
Right.
So, yeah, that's all I got.
Part of it goes back to realizing where we are. Like, you can't try to change people. Like, all of us deal with behaviors, all of us deal with how we were brought up, how we were raised. Like, so I wasn't raised around here. I was raised in just right up the road in Kansas, right? Just like he was. But still, whenever I moved to Oklahoma, it became way more religious and way more political just from that few hours drive.
Yeah.
And so, and I still have friends that are you know, what I would call Reagan Republicans all the way down to Trump Republicans. And the thing is me coming from the space that I am, I can listen, I can hear, I can feel, but everyone's dealing with the inner child. Everyone is like, has to come to grips with who they are. And so therefore, if you've never been exposed, like a lot of these places Brian would go to, I mean, they sitting back and talking about what they want Trump to do and what the problem is with people in the city, and they have a refrigerator in the front yard. And so, not realizing a lot of things. And so, essentially, the biggest thing that I would say is have a little patience for your brother. Actually do that thing and actually don't just talk about Jesus or his story. Actually try to be it. And so try to seek first to understand it, to be understood, even from individual people that may have ideas that you don't necessarily know the story. There's been a lot of people, and that's who I am, how I speak, how I approach things. And there's been people that I've been in Tulsa, Oklahoma as a consultant and as a person that helps certain people. I'm a big guy. I've helped oil and gas people that are 100% solid. You would know for a fact they have signs in the front that said that I might be racist. And so, but when it comes to making money and, you know, when it comes to making money, you have the qualifications, the degrees and everything else that somebody said, become the token black guy. And you just get a job done. But there was one man from Broken Arrow, hardcore. I mean, he was with the police force. And I knew it was pretty hardcore, but I still was myself. And he helped my son, who is now 17 years old. And he said, as he's holding him, and then he said, you know, I know I was pretty hardcore racist before I met you. And this is the first black kid I've ever had.
Wow.
And so you gotta start approaching like, because what's gonna happen, I'm gonna tell you real quick, what's gonna happen with what we're dealing with. You can go over this fascism thing, and you can go over all of these different things, just like David Banner said. Only thing that's happened is it was only 6 years ago. So people that are retiring and in their 70s basically still had a lot of this, mostly from the South. It just wasn't as easy to vocalize. It wasn't easiest to get on social media and speak it. And so what you have to do to counter that is you got to counter it with some level of love and decorum. I mean, and actually we doing it through film in the best ways we can, and just have a little patience, even though you may have to at certain times, especially, let me say this, especially as someone that so happens to be in white skin, right? I say that intentionally. You so happen to be in that. And so when you step forward on certain situations and say, I don't agree with that, because I have a lot of friends that would tell me they would have to do that. I don't agree with that. All of a sudden, you're changing the collective consciousness and begin to raise the consciousness, because it can get better if we wanted to.
That's right. And remember, we have a lot more in common than we do different.
Especially if you're not a millionaire. I said, especially if you got a billionaire. Well, I heard a saying recently, and he said, he said, we are all closer to being on snack than we are being millionaires.
Yeah, Julie, just also, thank you. That's in the spirit of Bishop Carlton Pearson very much so. I think my answer to your question would be that I think that people feel vulnerable right now and in this country, and white people feel scared, you know, as we heard some of the interviews. And I think that they're willing to overlook Trump's demeanor and his meanness and the way that he speaks,
because they feel that he will protect them. And people, I think all of us can feel vulnerable and want somebody, you know, in our world who's going to protect us and look out for us. And for some reason, these people have projected onto him a sense of strength and that he cares about them and he's going to stand up for them against those who are going to, you know, whether they're bringing out political correctness or whether they're, you know, cancel culture, whatever. And so I just think that your advice about how do we walk in someone else's shoes and try to understand them, I'm just saying that I think that that's my answer. If I try to walk in folks' shoes, what I heard here was a lot of people scared about the changes in our culture. And it's easy to scapegoat other people. It's a lot harder to scapegoat AI and robotics and globalization because those are such huge things. It's a lot easier to scapegoat Black people or immigrants or something like that. It's a classic story throughout history. And I think folks have projected on those who love him, despite his demeanor, I think it's because they feel like they'll protect them. And I just think we have to pay attention to that and try to figure out if that is true. Is there something about understanding that can help us to help those people to recognize that he's not the savior that they think he is? Anyway.
And to touch on that, and a perfect example of that, guys, is what's going on in Chicago, where I'm coming from. I don't know if you guys have been paying attention to the ICE
Oh, yeah.
operation that's going on in Chicago.
Everyone in the country.
They're wiping out economies. Little Village is a neighborhood just southwest of downtown Chicago. Vibrant community, a lot like Black Wall Street was. Shops, candy stores, restaurants. Somebody on Instagram said, oh yeah, what, it's a couple taco shops? No, it's the second largest business corridor in the entire Midwest. Right now, if you walk down those streets that are so vibrant and have so much culture, they're empty. Because ICE is driving up and down and not just harassing, but abducting. Yes, undocumented, but also American citizens. So to your point, if we're willing to sit back and accept that, then we are just that, scared. That's the only rationalization for that. It's a fear mongering and it's just wrong. And I hope people wake up and see that.
Thank you. And I know we think they let me just say, let's give these guys a round of applause. And I appreciate you putting me I was the most least famous person in that. Hey, thank you. Let's give it up for these guys. All right.
All right, guys, so that was the screening of White Trust to Americans here in Tulsa. Unitarian Church.
Oh man, it's been a great night. Somebody came out. Great conversation, amazing film. Hope everybody watches it. You guys are my heroes for telling that story. Where you told it. Thank you. Thank you.
I have to talk.
Pastor Marvin Hoppes.
All right.
That was awesome.
One more.
That was cool.
Can I get one more?
One more photo, one more photo. Sit down. Thanks for having us. Don't forget, guys, listen, it's not over on Tuesday. Coming until Saturday, November 22nd.
17.
We're going to be screening
White Trump, Two Americas, right here in Tulsa. I think they call that an encore. Is that they call it an encore?
Also, but
Okay. Hey, what day? Okay. November 26th. Okay, thank you.
So, what's up, y'all? Thanks for tapping in and tuning in to the show tonight and watching this. Of course, I know a lot of you guys talk about Bishop and love to talk about Reverend Marlon here. And I'm here at the church with him. There's a lot of people that get online and watch this right? And so there's some that wanted to appear here tonight.
And, I don't know how you felt, but seeing Bishop up there talking, just being alive, and just, it was sad. It's bittersweet because I miss him so much. And, but the thing is that his consciousness of what he taught us is still alive. And to the degree that we can spread that inclusion and that message, it's going to make a lot of difference. And thank you for doing all you do to keep that message alive in this community here. So thank you.
Thank you much. We're going to be having a retreat next March. So I'll make sure that we'll come here or somehow get you together.
Get everybody together.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. You're amazing. Keep it up. Keep up.
Thank y'all. And hey, we're going to end, but guess what? Tia's here with me. She's the one that kind of helped insist to get this together, right?
yes,
So
I did. It was great. It was so good tonight. So good. So much.
we're going to do it again on the 22nd of that's a Saturday. So I may live stream some of it. I'll figure it out. I'll invite you so you can be here a part of it. But I guess that's probably pretty much the end. And of course, we're going to finish doing all this.
I'll see you later.
Yeah, brother.
Good to see you.
What's up in front of you? Yeah, you could just do that.
Good to see you, brother. Hi. Pleasure. It was wonderful.
Or you can.
Okay. Yeah. Keep going. Keep going. I'm capturing.
Yeah. Go on the website.
Watch this work.
Yeah, so I know he's on front.
So that white is here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pleasure. Hey, pal. Man. Hey, did you look? I thought you got one from having like when I feel about sitting there in high school. I was
Hey, y'all, look. Anything that's expanding consciousness.
You're live.
Hey, that's their live right now. There's this mother white. That's
Yeah,
live
you're
right
right.
now. Bring it up. All right. What do you got to say to all people on expanding consciousness?
You should have been here. We so proud of our coach.
Information.
The discussion was.
Make sure it's right.
We're gonna, treat
Oh, this camera, what you guys thought?
Absolutely.
Do you want me to,
Oh, really?
Oh, here, can I grab that?
All right.
Oh, yeah.
Third parts, I got all these great things here.
I did.
Yes.
Yes.
All right.
It's time to get down.
That's 100%.
Yeah. Facebook, YouTube, I'll tell you. I have to hard hands. Sparks. Oh my God. Yes. So I'm
Of course, we had to play Pittsburgh,
That's great. But it is a different thing when you come down here.
It was.
It was interesting about the gentleman was talking about that. Because I, my junior year, my high senior year, I'd heard enough. I went to the downtown library, and they provided me with the Microsoft. Also took me out. So then, why were we down there? I want you to,
Now it's not a quick question.
tell Brian that story. So we're always filtered. So, is we'll use it because it's a story. I think I want to get that as a sound. We call it sound. It's because the thing is, well, they're moving here.
well, we just instinctively thought it was too much like you're here. I have to understand the population here was surprised by the beach. Recognition. They so good. Listen, yes, somebody from Kansas.
Yeah. Hey, Brian. Brian.
I did not.
Yeah, let's.
So was she.
A bunch of Kansas. I fixed projectors too.
We're going to go here. I mean, it's Garrett and certainly. And the thing is, you were Garrett hard. Garrett
Different things, like the.
But the other thing that's also kind of by declining seasons, and we,
It's a bad sound.
it's so cool.
So then, I have things like sad, like these things that we paid, but it's just.
Hey, I'll let them know to reach out if they think there's a chance, but yeah.
Right.
Thank you.
Then she. Our friend. It was like a lot of like. Stuff or like better terms. And I think she's working with the church. Sometimes the boards are in. So I think that.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I think it would be a great opportunity.
I feel like.
I'll let what part of it.
I think there's something which used to be the.
She was like,
Well, she is.
time, right? I think so.
So that's not you see here.
Yeah,
And I'll start with that.
that's the DMV, is DC brand.
So.
Oh, yeah. Right.
Right. Everybody.
Do you see Deidre on?
I did.
All right.
So if you.
Do you want me to have her take it?
Right.
Then I forget.
No, you're all right. Deidre, she's talking about someone that wants to possibly do a screening in the DMV. So I will get her information. Then you guys can get that together. Okay.
I think so. I think, yeah, definitely.
This is fine. Live. There's a go live. There.
Now.
Okay. This live. So there's people that actually. It's just.
And I think,
We all go through.
something that's.
But I'm taking into about consideration
How do we-
one of your sermons, when I go to breakfast, there are 5 gentlemen in there, 3 of them are married.
It's not necessarily like your book or anything, because no, books aren't always active, right? So it's gotta be like face to face, it's like one teacher, you know? I'm not. I asked him, well, I think, and it comes down to. Yeah.
Why do you, sometimes it's everything else.
Yeah, now that I'm, I'm more settled, settling into my life, we can do motorcycles. What do you know, in Vietnam, well, he got into that body. It was November 11th. I don't know. I think I just you're better enough to know I can't do anything. Because I was impact that and it may not be a big impact. Focus on things that I.
It's not only a big impact, it's not.
Yeah, I think so. I actually was better service. I had an interview today and I was talking to the guy and I was telling him how there's a story I had no idea got me out of Vietnam. You know, I realized 1966 they were removing I just all the time. This is the way married. It was safety and a good friend of mine and that's like my number 510. It just shows that it's messy you can actually reach the people.
Oh, I love this country.
What you need to do, you need to start teaching what your biggest fear.
And
Your biggest leader has always, your biggest cheerleader has always been.
Yeah, it's just
Why?
I don't know.
against Trump. I think he
To celebrate you last year.
Yeah.
We had the family home.
From his-
One of them said, let's go drive over to the other side of the
Right.
bridge.
But they did never
Cars
have-
down. And out of the blue, she said, I'm serious. Like, I get here. Here, she just stay with my video. She's still back. That's like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
And I like,
And they, yeah, you have to do
something like that.
Okay.
Last
President, you get 30 minutes to prime time. That's it.
like last year when
And.
I drove back smelling eggs. I gotta get you back. I gotta, you're not going back now.
I know.
it's like a change of basically like, oh yeah, so I was saying I had that impact because I had here, I was able to get a job and I was focused more on like, wow.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, you're so darn loving.
Where like,
Oh,
eliminate.
except for developers. Developers are
I
the
think
devil.
what I decided was that, I wanted to be more than
We're all students.
yeah, I did. That's what it is. So if it's something that I'm passionate about, then it's easy for me to speak.
Maybe other coming out is being.
I watch it. Zombies.
I have no reason to try. It's just as easier.
For that question, it's your.
I keep trying to get to where Star Trek, I keep trying to figure out how they wipe out did all the shit, right?
I just think people whose main thing is money, and I understand that when you're poor, like I'm going through the poor stage.
Me too.
And so I think about money all the time, or lack of money.
Right,
So-
only important, and so that's why I try to
People think that innovations. Right? They're
deeper conversation.
They think he's gonna bring it, make you rich.
Attention.
My wife's
How I
step
connect
mom, Donna, she's like the same age as her. She thought she's a Chinese American.
Oh my God.
She
You're until.
thinks that Trump is Trump.
All right, that's Tia.
In office.
Hi.
And Tia is.
Way off our house. I was like, right, yeah, I think it's like the QAnon thing. It's some, it's these other little networks. Seriously stuff. Because that's what she, I mean, she.
And I think
Planning her life around, all these bills are gonna get paid off.
Oh, I guess it's so.
Crazy.
create. Have
No, wait. Okay.
Don't go spending that money.
The history, the experience.
So in all these things we buy, right?
Yeah.
Well, I didn't notice that. Toilet paper still.
They say it's gonna start. We're gonna start. Did a lot.
Right now,
Right now, you probably need
about things.
like store during.
Yeah, exactly.
I do.
And I shop at Walmart.
They were trying to keep, because, you know, they were.
Yeah, a lot of people online don't have anything to say, and they're doing just fine. So why? Why not add one?
You wanna take my number?
I do. I want to.
Here's one. You could, I'm on
Facebook.
just social media.
YouTube.
The biggest thing is that the easiest thing to get all my questions. Other things. Just type in.
Yeah, we made so much progress.
That's really the first way.
Right through, you know, Greenville actually was rebuilt. Like Wall Street, you need to. That one, they took the nail on the head. So that's not ancient history.
Uh-oh.
I was trying to give you a little privacy. For when you were exchanging numbers, I was trying to give you some privacy.
Yeah, I think.
I didn't know if you wanted to give, yeah.
Property taxes and.
No.
Oh,
Yeah.
you
it's on
did?
there.
Oh.
Okay, so your question will go up. Okay. Oh, no, she said. So you go. Okay. Okay.
All right, y'all. What y'all think?
I think good. If I can
Everything's
talk
good?
from behind here.
Cool. Well, I appreciate y'all for being here, tapping in, tuning in. We will. I think we come back on Saturday. This Saturday at 9:30. I want to make this Saturday available for everyone, even in the free section, right? And we're going to have a fellowship and coaching session this Saturday at 9:30. Right here, be there or be square, right? And then Tia's got to tell y'all bye.
Bye.